Well, you say it's in Holland. The law also states a certain minimum level of participation, and that's mostly informing or consultancy. It is true. That's also part of the answer on your question. In general, government offers in Holland more participation possibilities than by law needed. So in that case, it becomes more of a convention of a voluntary decision of the government, of the policymakers to do so. So, and that can be either an electoral motivation, or it can be more an ideal motivation. But you state two things. One, participation to achieve something, to do something, to get a plan through. And the other is, what you stated, is you have participation to generate social capital, to generate energy. And I think that really does depend on the topic that you're talking about. When you have it on a regeneration of a housing area or something like that, it's closer, I guess, to the people. You can more easily address them, because I don't see how you can do such things with such national projects. I mean, that's the problem in Germany. Try to explain to people why all those pylons and all those things are needed. Yeah, because we don't use nuclear energy anymore. So that's a much more harder topic, I think, to facilitate a participation project. So I think it's really topic dependent on what you can do. But I don't know what Peter or other have to say about that.
I would like to say that I'm always a bit afraid when we are talking about participation process in which we want everybody to participate. Because participation means that you have a group of the society who wants give their meaning, and who wants to think, and who wants invest their time in finding a solution. There are other categories of the society, depending the problems, which they even don't care. But for politicians, it can be, again, very useful to say, okay, you said your opinion, but you have seen 85% of the people haven't participated. So we don't have a participation process. But it can be, I don't say that it is always like this, but it can be that within the 15% of meanings you receive, there are very useful elements for giving a new challenge to a problem, to a project. But if, again, you push it to the fact that it was only 15% of the public, then, of course, for politicians, they can throw it away very easily. So I'm very afraid with the idea that everybody needs to participate in each cases.
As we share our problems, or then I will share one that I'm afraid or have problem with is when we start using participation for the manipulation of people. In the sense you mentioned also, we want to get the plan accepted and get it through. So we want a higher acceptance of the plans or the ideas. I have problem with this kind of participation, which Shirley calls manipulation, and we should be really aware of when are we doing it in this way, because it's this creates more problems, because then we come into the problem of trust and is this really a participation? Related to this, I have a question for you, because, of course, different kinds of visualization, something that is very nicely visualized in comparison to something else that is not so nice or not so attractive, it's also a matter of possible manipulation as well. I'm not saying you are doing this at all. I'm just asking if you were thinking about this, because of course a visualization is a tool of getting people either attracted by something or not. And how do you deal with this, let's say, issue in your work?
Well, I have quite a clear example on that, because you're quite right. In the city of Maastricht, the highway runs through the city, and it's not a true highway, so it's a very big problem. Everybody knows it right now. So there should be a solution. The government asked 3 contractors to make a plan, and what they did is the audience was allowed, the public was allowed to almost literally choose what they found best. And we were asked to demonstrate, to show the 3 examples to the audience. But we had another assignment, make sure that the way it was informed was exactly equal. But there's a $1 billion contract there, €1 billion contract, so you understand what the contractors did with us. Yeah. They were pushing us, and one contractor literally pushed us and said, okay, when I see the 3D model now of my plan, which I thought was good, the housing is quite close to the road. Could you move it up 10 meters? He literally asked us that. Yeah, we don't do that, because that's manipulation. We don't do that. But it's very clear that this kind of virtuality stuff is you can easily manipulate if you want it. But we're not designers.
Yeah, I think that not only visualization, but that often politics uses participation as something that, or tries to use it, saying this is with special order, that we already decided it's going to be like this or it has to be this way, but then uses participation as the process to support this idea that, and it has been decided before. So I think this is also one of the issues we are still dealing in practice a lot.
But I use the phrase to push a plan through. It happens. We get the questions also. But in the start of a process, that's where you lay the foundation for good process, for fair play feeling in the end. Yeah, and sometimes also government and policymakers and project managers along the way, they think, oh, I did it wrong, but they can't go back. So in that case, you have the boundaries of participation. They're already set. And then you can do 2 things. You can start over, or you can say, okay, from now on, I'm going to do it the way I should do it.
Yeah, there is another subject I would like to point out. The internet is offering us so many ideas, and architects are selling their ideas by putting several images. And what happens if I start to be much more interested in what in Tokyo happens, or in Venezuela, or I don't know where, than in Hamburg, where I'm based in?
Yeah, what happens?
Yeah, I start through and by transparency it will increase. That means that people will start to participate on surveys, for example, about projects in other countries. That's very attractive, that's very nice. But what happens if I forget my own city, for example? Because there are so many images that are sold to me.
Yeah. Well, you should never forget your own city. I mean, you're on the buttons. You steer it as a government or as a client. You have the influence on what you do. So if you let it happen that someone in Tokyo or whole Tokyo gets involved in Hamburg, I think you did something wrong as a government.
Okay. But this possibility would be there, maybe. That's just a question. Yeah.
Hi. One thing that I like, especially on the 3D simulations, is that I think it's a progress compared to animations made by architectural agencies. For instance, we had a discussion here on the living bridge. It was just a plan to build a huge bridge over the River Elbe, 2 stories high, 60 meters broad, and with houses built on top of it and everything. And the visual material we had has been drafted by the architect, by the responsible architect. So it shows a perspective that was very favorable, so to speak. And it didn't help at all because the participants figured it out completely. I mean, they put it in the right relation and said, look, imagine how small a person, a human being would be if you put it just at the top of, at the bottom of the bridge and so on and so forth. But it was quite a huge, it was quite a process to figure that out. And I think if you have this 3D animation, or if we had that in place, it would be much easier to get a feeling about the size of the planned project. So I think the risk of manipulation it's still there, because it depends who provides the data, who will pay for it, who will make it. But it's a progress compared to just pictures taken from a specific angle.
Which means, in talking about open data, a 3D model of the city which is confirmed as a correct model is the ideal instrument for putting the new projects inside.
Thank you. Oh, it is the future. It are the things that we're thinking of, because this is you have one project, you make it every time tailor-made, but you must make it much broader, much more open sources. Make sure that people can add their own designs in it, make it easy for them to do so, etc., etc. There are lots of possibilities, lots of dreams, little less possibilities.
So we would continue with the next part of the PEPNet Summit, maybe? After the break.
Break.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.